Tonight, the growing threat of wildfires on Canada's east and west coast. Thousands forced to flee and the technique cooling down hotspots in the dark.
Stay out of the woods.
Plus, one province's extreme measure to try and stamp out the risk. What the U.S. ambassador to Canada revealed about a timeline window on trade negotiations.
It's going to take a while to work through it.
And new support for the hard-hit softwood lumber industry. Also, a rapid rise up the ranks.
To have such an achievement at a tournament like this is really a milestone for me.
How a Canadian teenager is aiming for a tennis title while serving up inspiration.
Kind of motivates me to pursue tennis.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Heather Butts.
Good evening. Getting out into nature is a summer ritual for many, but in one province, the threat of wildfires has forced a dramatic move. While nearly every part of the country has faced the effects of the flames, from people forced to flee their homes to those staying inside to avoid the smoke. Today, Nova Scotia announced this new ban.
We're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. We are restricting travel and activities that really aren't necessary. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted.
Some trails in the province are now blocked off, though there is a split, it seems, on whether the move goes too far.
As long as you're not starting a fire or smoking, you know, that kind of thing, you should be able to walk there.
It kind of sucks for the campers and anybody out tenting, but it's probably necessary.
The closures will stay in place until prolonged rain reduces the fire danger. Violating the ban can result in a $25,000 fine. And in Newfoundland, this growing fire tripled in size overnight and destroyed some structures in Conception Bay North. A province-wide fire ban has been reinstated. The Premier says this has been an unprecedented wildfire season, with Newfoundland seeing 192 fires already this summer.
That is very frustrating. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
Frustration mounting in a northern Manitoba community forced to flee the flames for the second time in 2 months. A nearby wildfire is threatening to cut off the only access to the First Nation near Thompson, although there is no immediate danger to homes. Hundreds of people in BC have been forced from their homes on Vancouver Island. A fire burning on a ridge next to a major highway is now 5 square kilometers. Crews are hitting it hard from the ground and the air, working 24 hours a day. As CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson reports, some of the critical work is being done in the dark.
Night vision-equipped helicopters hit flames with thousands of liters of water, part of the overnight firefight on Vancouver Island. Close to 200 firefighters are going at it on the ground, trying to save homes between the towns of Port Alberni and Qualicum Beach. 400 of those homes are empty after people were ordered out.
We could see flames in the hills, like really close. I could hear the crackling, feel the heat. And we grabbed the last bit of stuff that we could and got out of there. It's just crazy. There's so much chaos in the neighborhood right now. All the neighbors are stressed straight out.
Right now, the extreme fire risk on Vancouver Island is being fueled by some of the driest conditions in the country.
Some of the logs of this size that we're seeing out in the forest are showing as low as 10 or 12% moisture content, and kiln-dried lumber is about 8%.
Fire officials in an update today say the fire did not grow much overnight, and they're asking the hundreds out of their homes to hang in there.
Being evacuated during a wildfire is a very scary experience, and you're putting your trust and faith in us. So please have patience and allow us to make sure that it is safe before we can make any recommendations.
It's not like a war zone. There's just so much aerial traffic.
Mike Mothersill's been monitoring his home by security camera. It's still standing, and he's blown away by the response.
They're doing a great job of keeping the fire away from the homes and the structures and the buildings right now. I can't thank those guys enough. They're heroes. They're saving everybody up there.
Heroic firefighting and a positive change in the forecast. Lower temperatures and the chance of rain are on the way. Not a moment too soon for people on Vancouver Island. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
All of those wildfires are causing serious air quality concerns across parts of Canada and the U.S. The national forecast has been improving as a major smoke cloud moves northeast. Montreal and Toronto had some of the worst air quality in the world over the weekend.
We avoid being outside for too long and do stuff in the morning and the evening when it's not so bad.
I just love being outdoors. Actually, it's not that bad.
This hasn't stopped me from doing anything.
Health experts warn to limit outdoor activities during high-risk days. The Prime Minister spoke for the first time today since Donald Trump increased tariffs. Mark Carney unveiled new measures to help the softwood lumber sector struggling under the weight of the trade war. And with a deal still looming, the U.S. ambassador to Canada weighed in on a possible timeline. CTV's Rachel Aiello on today's Trade Talk.
I haven't spoken to the president in recent days.
The Prime Minister says trade talks are continuing, even though he and U.S. President Donald Trump aren't talking.
We'll speak when it makes sense.
Today, the U.S. ambassador to Canada said progress may be slow for a few weeks.
It's going to take a while to work through it. There's a lot of issues that are still on the table. Canada's a priority, but I mean, there's a whole lot of countries that are priorities.
With no timeline for a new deal or any tariff reprieve, today, Mark Carney promised financial support for the softwood lumber sector, as well as help retraining workers and breaking the industry's reliance on the U.S. market.
We will be our own best customer by relying more on Canadian lumber, Canadian softwood for Canadian projects.
Carney's foreign affairs and finance ministers spent the day meeting with counterparts in Mexico. The trip was aimed at strengthening ties, but included talk of strategy, after Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum negotiated a 90-day reprieve from higher tariffs for her country.
They've been engaging strategically with the White House, and that's exactly the same kind of playbook that we've been doing in Canada. As Minister Anand said, our realities are different, but in somewhat similar as well.
The opposition say the Liberals are not living up to their elbows-up election pledge.
Under Mark Carney's leadership, it has been elbows down and tariffs up.
Polling suggests Canadians' anxiety over getting a deal is growing.
Canadians are increasingly worried about Trump and the state of the trade negotiations. Concern on that front has been increasing over the last number of weeks.
Nano said Carney still holds a double-digit lead over Poilievre's Conservatives. But the longer tariffs persist and the longer it takes all of this talk to become action, the more likely it is that Liberal support could start to slip. Heather?
Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. The union representing 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants says its members have voted in favor of strike action. The union could issue a 72-hour strike notice as early as next weekend. Canada's Privacy Commissioner has launched an investigation into a cyber attack targeting WestJet. The airline warned passengers in June about some personal and travel-related data being stolen. Passengers scrambled to put on oxygen masks as a plane was forced to make an emergency landing after colliding with a bird just after takeoff in Madrid. The plane landed safely and no one was hurt, but the nose of the aircraft was heavily damaged. The tragedy involving the Titan submersible was preventable. That's according to a new report. The tourist craft was on a dive to the Titanic when it imploded back in 2023, killing all 5 on board. CTV's John Venevale Rao on what the U.S. Coast Guard investigation reveals about the company and its controversial CEO.
What happened to the Titan submersible and the loss of everyone on board, including a teenager, was examined extensively by the U.S. Coast Guard. And with the release of a more than 300-page report, an investigative board finding what many have long believed, that this marine casualty and the loss of 5 lives was preventable.
I'm mad because it happened, and I'm sad that all these people lost their lives. And that's why, to me, it should have never happened. It shouldn't have been allowed to happen.
The report placing blame on OceanGate, the company behind the experimental sub.
Turn left.
And its ambitious CEO, Stockton Rush, who died in the implosion. The report cites an inadequate design, certification, maintenance, and inspection process for the Titan, adding there was a toxic workplace culture. Some who expressed safety concerns were fired or threatened with dismissal.
To start operations, was there pressure?
Oh, 100%.
The report finding the submersible was used despite several prior incidents involving its carbon fiber hull, while the vessel was never registered with a so-called flag state, so there was no government oversight.
I've never seen that in 28 years of doing and overseeing investigations.
The Titan had been on a dive off Newfoundland carrying passengers who paid up to $250,000 to see the wreck of the Titanic when the submersible imploded.
The good news is they would have been killed instantly, so they wouldn't have suffered, but they shouldn't have been killed in the first place. This was preventable.
In a statement, OceanGate, which is no longer operating, said, "We again offer our deepest condolences to the families of those who died and to all those impacted by the tragedy." The report also notes if CEO Stockton Rush had survived, criminal charges against him would have been considered. John Vanavelli-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
An attorney for Sean Diddy Combs says the hip-hop mogul is seeking a pardon from U.S. President Donald Trump for prostitution-related offenses.
Mr. Combs is a very hopeful person, and I believe that he remains hopeful.
Last month, a jury convicted Combs of transportation to engage in prostitution and acquitted him of the most serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. There is a battle underway in the U.S. over the files related to Jeffrey Epstein and whether they should be made public. CTV's Washington bureau chief Joy Malbin on the bid to release a transcript of an interview with Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell.
The president's happy to talk about anything but his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Under pressure from his supporters to share the files, the White House is seriously considering releasing audio recordings or a transcript from the two-day interview between Todd Blanche, Trump's former personal lawyer, and Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted of sex trafficking young girls. After her cooperation, Maxwell was suddenly transferred to a minimum security prison camp in Texas, a rare move for a sex offender. Survivors fear a presidential pardon might be next.
Anything he talked about with her or the fact that he did that, not unusual, number one, and most importantly is something that would be totally above board.
The family of Virginia Giuffre wants everything made public. She fought for herself and other survivors, settling out of court against Prince Andrew in 2022, testifying that it was Maxwell who recruited her to have sex with powerful men. She committed suicide last April.
Still to the day that we lost her, she was still fighting for those documents to be released. They are sitting in our court system right now.
A Republican-led congressional committee wants to know, too, issuing nearly a dozen subpoenas to high-profile political figures like Bill and Hillary Clinton, FBI directors, and justice officials.
They've certainly cast a very wide net, and you have people from all political parties being subpoenaed to come. Will the public ever hear this information? That's unclear.
The committee also gave the Justice Department just 2 weeks to deliver to Congress all of its files on Epstein and Maxwell. From subpoenas, testimony, and possible transcripts, if the president wanted all this to go away, that's unlikely. Heather?
Joy, thank you. According to Israeli media reports, the country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing for the full occupation of Gaza despite some internal opposition. Several ministers say Netanyahu used the term occupation during private conversations as he tried to rally support for the move. Senior officials were quoted as saying the military operations would even take place in areas where hostages are believed to be held. The IDF's chief reportedly disagrees with the plan, and a cabinet vote on the idea was reportedly postponed. Dramatic footage shows hundreds of Palestinians rushing to collect aid being airdropped from above. Infighting often breaks out around the packages. One piece of video shows two men wrestling over a package, one holding a knife. UN aid agencies have called the airdrops a last resort and are calling on Israel to allow more access to people in need inside Gaza. Coming up tonight.
Please bring my ring back.
Why you need to be on the lookout for distraction theft. Plus, the young Canadian turning heads on center court. A woman in her 70s has died and a man has been charged with murder following a fight in Brampton, Ontario. Neighbors believe the attack was retaliation after the woman reported a man for mistreating a small dog he owned.
She works over there at the laundromat. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady.
Nicest lady there is. Nicest lady, she can shoot on her back or do anything.
Court records show the suspect was previously charged with willfully causing pain and suffering to an animal. A 64-year-old man is facing a second-degree murder charge. A 90-year-old Ottawa woman is speaking out after becoming the victim of a distraction theft, robbed of a sentimental piece of jewelry, targeted while sitting outside her retirement home. CTV's Katie Griffin tells us what happened.
Thank God she didn't get this one because that was my wedding ring.
At 90 years old, Terry Thompson has seen a lot. Never anything like this.
And I look at my hand, my ring was gone. She took the ring at the same time that she took the old ring off.
While having a smoke outside Ogilvie Villa retirement home Sunday, Thompson says she was approached by a woman who forcefully put jewelry on her.
I said, I don't want any. You keep it, you wear it. And all of a sudden, she grabbed my hand, put the ring on, and then all of a sudden, she took it off. I said, take that off. And she was gone in about a second.
Also gone, a cherished aquamarine and diamond ring.
You know, my husband gave me that in 1975.
The loss of it, heartbreaking.
I'm sad for my mom, upset. Hopefully they can catch this person.
Last month, police asked for help identifying suspects involved in distraction thefts targeting the elderly, including a 92-year-old robbed of a necklace and 2 rings in her driveway on Hillary Avenue, and a gold necklace stolen from a 94-year-old on Beaver Pond Drive. To help protect yourself from distraction thefts, police say to avoid displaying expensive or sentimental jewelry in public. Stay alert to your surroundings, especially in parking lots. Don't allow strangers to touch you, and if approached under suspicious circumstances, walk away and seek help. From Thompson, a simple plea.
Please bring my ring back.
Katie Griffin, CTV News, Ottawa.
A roadside stop on a highway in Brazil led police to seize gold worth more than 15 million Canadian dollars. More than 100 solid gold bars were found hidden inside this pickup truck in the largest seizure ever by the country's highway police. The driver, who was traveling with his wife and a baby, is under arrest. Investigators suspect the gold may have been on its way to Venezuela or Guyana. Still ahead.
And lift go Falcon.
How to get your name on board the Falcon 9 rocket. If you've ever wanted to go to space, pay attention to this next story. Chances are you can't physically go, but your signature could, with a little support for students in Alberta who are launching their newest satellite. Here's CTV's Miriam Valdez-Carletti.
Go Falcon, go intuitive mission.
Your name could be aboard a Falcon 9 rocket. Students at the University of Alberta are creating a satellite that will hitch a ride to space.
We go on a rideshare program, so there's probably 60 or 50 other satellites about this size that are also paying to be on the rocket.
They're building the X Alta 3.
It'll house a student-built imager that we developed for climate change research.
X Alta 3 will orbit Earth and monitor ice and snow coverage in Canada and contribute to wildfire research.
The Canadian government especially is looking into more ways to support climate change research. We know that wildfires are a hot button issue for a lot of Albertan communities.
The X Ultra 3 project will cost $500,000. Part of the crowdfunding campaign includes inviting donors to be a part of the mission through this small chip.
A chip will be affixed like that, and we'll send it to space so your name gets to come with us.
You can pay $100 for one name or $200 for 3. While the satellite is only the size of a loaf of bread, it packs a punch.
But it contains everything. So you have your computer in here, your power. The only thing not pictured on here is some of the surface components.
The students will have their names hidden within the circuits and other components, but it's building X Alt 3 that makes them excited to launch their careers.
Sending actual hardware that I've designed into space was always a long-term goal for far in the future when I was in my late 20s or 30s or even older.
This is the first opportunity I've ever had to actually participate in a real space mission.
X Ultra 3 will blast off next summer. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
Still ahead, Canada's rising star. Meet the teenage tennis sensation capturing a new fan base. We leave you tonight with the soaring success of Canadian tennis sensation Victoria Mboko. Captivating fans with her run at the National Bank Open, the teenage star is having a dream tournament, now heading for the semifinals. CTV's Alison Hurst on those, eyeing her powerful plays.
As Victoria Mboko reaches the semifinals in the National Bank Open in Montreal, young tennis players are gripped.
I think that's amazing. It makes me feel pride for someone who came near this area actually got to a really high level at this young age.
Kian Rasulsadeh says it has him thinking about his future in tennis.
It kind of motivates me to pursue tennis.
18-year-old Mboko booked her ticket to the semifinals following a stunning defeat of world number 2 Coco Gauff and another dominant performance in the quarters.
To have such an achievement at a tournament like this is really a milestone for me, and I'm just so happy that I've got to have this whole experience in Montreal.
The Burlington teen is the first Canadian to reach the semis since 2019 when Bianca Andreescu won the tournament, and the youngest woman to reach the semis since 2015.
A year ago, Mboko was ranked outside the top 300. Yes, top 300 in the WTA rankings, and now she's cracked the top 50.
In Montreal, Mboko has dropped just one set.
She was a wild card in this event, so she's going to be enjoying this moment in front of the Montreal crowd, feeding off that raucous energy to try to propel her to the Canadian Open final.
Put your hand up. You like Fortnite.
Nike Tennis Camp coach Cameron Bentley is using her success and lessons from the court to inspire his campers.
I want them to, you may win the first set, you still got to win the second one. So, yeah, just, enjoy it, I guess. I'm sure she enjoyed it.
Her next match is tomorrow against 9th seed Elena Rybakina. Alison Hurst, CTV News.
And so many will be watching and cheering her on. That is our newscast for this Tuesday. I'm Heather Butts. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.